Shabbat shalom kulanu. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Nice to see you all again. Um, this week I received an email from someone who asked me what was actually written on the two tablets of stone from when Moses went up to receive the Ten Commandments. And I said, the Bible doesn't really say. He thought that maybe they were written, the whole thing was written on both sides. But what I thought in the moment was about that maybe what was written on the tablets was what's called an acrostic. An acrostic is when, either the first few letters or the first letter reminds you of the whole thing that you want to say. Like Rabbi stands for Rosh B'nai Israel, and in the Torah, in the Talmud, the way that our rabbis interpret the scriptures is an acrostic called Pardes. You have the P, R, D, and S. The P is for Pshat, meaning the direct meaning. The R is Remez, which is a hint. The D is a Drash, which is the teaching. And the Sod is the mystical. And the beautiful thing about whenever we read the portion, the scriptures, is that we can go to any of those levels to develop a message. And all of us may read the same verses and all have been given all have a different way of seeing it. And like last week when Mauricio was giving the message, he took one word, when, and developed a whole message around when, which is incredible. And here, the word that came to me was decision. How truly, once we make a decision to do something, it's like when I was working in hypnotherapy, many people came to me to learn how to stop smoking. But when I asked them some questions about it, I found that they really didn't want to stop. They were there for some other reason. There was one person who came and he said he wanted to stop smoking, and I think he was something like, I think he was 60. And I asked him how his father had died, and he said he died of smoking, from smoking. He had lung cancer. And how old was his father? He was 65. So I said, well, how long do you think you're going to live? And he said, well, probably 65. So in his mind, he only had 5 years to live. Why would he want to even stop? He really didn't want. He didn't make that decision. But it's like when I got off the phone and I realized I'm crying over lost emails, I decided to stop crying and to just, you have to change your attitude in your mind. Those 10 scouts were so caught up in their fear. And when we get caught up in fear, we know that it's like a trap. So, maybe some things are easier for me because of the character that God has given me. I don't drown in emotion. Emotions for me, I feel them so deeply sometimes that I can't take it and I go in another direction. But there's people who really, they bathe in their emotions, they drown in emotions, and that can make us very, very sick. I remember when we heard Rabbi 2 weeks ago, he said, "Oh, the S's drive me crazy," but that's what he was talking about, because we have to be careful not to allow our emotions, not to allow fear to overtake us. Now, there are things that we should be afraid of, but some things we should absolutely not, especially when we know that God is with us. Now, this is a process. The younger people who have not had a true experience over a long period of time of watching God move in their lives, it's harder for them. But as we see and as we read these stories in the Torah, as we read how God was with us every step of the way, we have to remind ourselves. We have to stop and make that decision. I will not allow my fear to replace the courage that I need to step forward to keep going, because it's easy to give up. How many times I've wanted to give up, but we must not. God wants us to Be of good courage, he told Joshua. Joshua told us, be of good courage. And when I read in the next sentence, and bring me back the fruit of the land. It's like, be of good courage and bring back the fruit of the land. How could this be in one sentence? But to him, it was the same. It was a choice. And we have a choice to decide to follow God, to be of good courage. And that's what the lesson is for me in this portion. So hopefully I was able to bring the idea across, and that we would really adapt that in our lives and stop and say, no, I'm not marrying. You've had to do that. How you
I was just going to say that
yeah.
that decisions, in my understanding and experience, it doesn't mean when you say don't have, not you, but when one says don't have fear, doesn't mean the fear is necessarily going to go. But to me, the act of the will is above that, and it's a decision that you could be terrified. I remember just forcing myself. I said, I have to go out minimum 20 minutes a day. I have to. I felt like I was going to drown if I didn't do that. I said, I have to. And my heart was pounding like this. And even going to Ella Epicure, down the street, it was like, I can't tell you, it was such a trial. I remember the first time going, I said, I just have to, 5 steps more. Anyway, but it doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means you don't you're almost above it, hovering. You're making making a decision.
You push through the fear.
Even but you can continue to have it will go when it
Yes.
goes.
Yes.
But you continue despite it. So I'm saying it's
Exactly.
really important to make these decisions with everything. Like I'm at a point now, I'm gaining weight. And I say, okay, Miriam, you have to. It still hasn't totally clicked, but I know that I once I make that decision, it's almost like it clicks into place, like in a factory when wheels turn and certain things have to click.
And
It
you may not.
locks.
You may decide that this is what you like. You're a traditionally built woman. That's it.
Well,
You
but
may,
yeah, that's another. If
yes,
that happens, look, I'm
because
not
it's more to do with
fanatic
health.
about weight, but there's some clothes that I want to fit into. It's not even anyway. But the point is, the will could almost function independently of our emotions, which can be very powerful
Yes.
in a good way, because otherwise we're just
But
like
it is a separate entity. God gave us a gift of free will. It's totally separate from our emotions.
okay, but what I mean is we could function if we just allow ourselves to be overcome with our emotions. We're like a cork on the wave.
Yeah.
We're not directing our own ship. And of course, it's different as a believer, because there are certain things that are almost impossible to do without, God in our lives. It's really,
Absolutely. That's what I was saying because
yeah, and I agree with that.
I worked with, I used to think that everything, all the solutions to humanity laid in the unconscious. All we had to do was to work with the unconscious mind, to control our thoughts, and that would change everything. We could control cancer, we could control everything. There's an element to that, yes. But without the mystical aspect of God in our lives, that doesn't last.
No, it doesn't.
We need that element. And I know,
Yeah.
Mauricio, you had different ways of seeing this as well. It was interesting to speak to you about it. That's what I love about the scriptures. There's all these different, ways of interpreting them.
Yes. Well, thank you for the message, Peggy. It was really great because about the decisions. We constantly are making decisions, and God is like He wants that we exercise the free will with responsibility, obviously. In this case, it was something that He allows to make the choice to Moses to send these scouts to the land.
Right.
And then Moses decides to exercise the free will to scouts to explore every place they want.
It took
He never
40
said,
days.
yeah, it took 40 days.
Yeah.
And then, but the problem is when there is it's like the fear that you mentioned inside a person, and it's about, I mean, they already saw what God has made in Egypt to make them free from Pharaoh, and they saw how impressive was the Sinai uh, with thunders and everything they saw. I mean, that's why probably it's not about to have miracles in our lives to believe.
Right.
That will not give you this kind of experience will not increase your emunah. Okay,
No.
so
Well, we saw
uh,
that, just let me, don't lose
yeah,
your thought, but we saw that with Yeshua when he healed the 10 lepers and he told them to go to the Kohen in the temple and only one went. The miracle of the healing didn't do anything for their emunah.
yeah,
But you see that even in the New Age, people are healed. Many people are
Any
healed.
heal, exactly.
And remember at Yeshua, was it Yeshua or I forget, at one point said, even if you see, it doesn't mean you're going to believe.
Right. Well, they saw the
yeah,
miracles leaving Egypt. They didn't believe in the
Yeah.
desert.
yes. And you know, that's why probably in the future Moses said, okay, no matter if a person comes before you and make miracles and make signals, do not follow him.
Yeah.
Right.
Follow the Torah. And you know, the problem is the people trying to increase their faith in this kind of faith is like I don't know how to say that, foam effect. You know, when you have, for example, Coca-Cola or any drink, and then you start to see how the foam is,
Oh,
yeah,
Bubble.
yeah.
Bubble.
start to
Disappear.
go up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then comes, yeah, it's so high and it's so addictive, and then comes the quiet time. And at the quiet time, when you don't see more miracles,
Right.
according to you, because just to be alive is a miracle.
Right.
How does it work? I don't know. Okay, it's so incredible
Yeah.
how we are alive,
Right.
how some ruach inside of us moves our body.
Right.
I don't know. That is just amazing, and you know, and how this energy start to flow over you. That's a miracle. You don't need more
But it's
to see
funny
God.
because it's exactly that. After I was tearing my hair out on the phone with this person where all my emails were gone, and then I got off the phone and I said, "Are you crazy? You have life, you have everything. You're healthy, you're walking, you have a roof over your head, you have food. Are you worried about emails?"
You remember
Yeah,
yesterday on the walk, we saw, like, we were going for a walk and then they're near fields and forests, whatever, and we saw a snail, like an earth snail,
Yeah.
not a sea snail. And you see two little eyes, their antenna or whatever, and two little eyes. And I said, eyes are so amazing. We have these things and we see the whole world out of these thing. And even a snail has them,
Yeah.
like a little, it's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, that's so unbelievable. That's like a miracle.
It is. I mean, look, we open our eyes and we can see you. These two
Yeah.
holes in our head, and I can see you. It's unfathomable.
Yeah.
yeah, and now what we see in this portion is that these guys start to look. Yeah, it's great to have miracles. It's great to have all this, but now we are in reality, and it's like, oh, I'm in another dominion. Like God doesn't have any power in this place. Okay,
Sorry, what
and
did you make? What did you just say?
Yeah, that I think they at that time remember that the gods were from regions according to their
Yeah, each
thought.
god had its own, each region had its own
Yeah,
god. Right,
yeah. So my God is the God of desert, not
right,
of the this land of Canaan.
right.
So and they start to see the very same thing that Yehoshua and Caleb saw. The other 10 saw the very same things.
Right.
Okay, but both have different meaning, and it's interesting that today probably the 20% will look different to the 80%. So
But always, yeah.
yeah, and then they start not just to see, but they start to believe, to have this intuition, okay, and get some conclusions about how they look at themselves, okay, because they said they look as to be like grasshopper, and you see
Yeah.
that they never have any contact. They were spying
Yeah. They didn't know
first.
how they would have seen them.
Yeah, and then it
Yeah.
says that they have some giants. In the portion, it's interesting that the Torah only mentioned like 3 or 4 giants, and they say all. Okay,
Right. Right.
and then
Well, because
also,
probably also
hmm?
because Amalek was there, and these were the enemies that attacked them as soon as they left Egypt. Amalek, they saw, so they were afraid of them. Uh-oh, you're stuck. What happened? Mauricio? Uh-oh.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're getting stuck. You're
Hello.
maybe turn off your
Yeah,
camera for a bit.
already look at, yeah. So and then we only see that there were that they start not only believe their lies, and that is something that happens today. People start to believe their lies,
Right.
and they make it true. So we don't look facts, we look illusions.
Exactly.
Okay, and, and even a person who is told, we were commenting this in Tuesday, that if you see when there are giants today, is because they have a disease. Okay, giantism. I believe that
Right.
giantism is
Right.
Right.
called.
Dwarfism and giant. Yes, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So it really, they were healthy people, or
Right.
they were not, because when I see very tall persons, they have more problems
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
They cannot walk very fast, for example.
Right. They have pain in
They,
their
they
joints.
yeah, they everything pains
Yeah.
inside them.
Yeah.
They are not strong, so yeah, they could be giants, but there were they strong?
Right.
I don't know. So that is the illusion of what you see and what you want to see.
Exactly.
Uh,
But look at the
and
difference how he was when he faced Goliath.
yeah,
Yeah.
but even Goliath, when you see the story, I started to ask myself, okay, this Goliath probably was sick also. I mean, because it's a kid of 12 years old who is throwing a stone,
Right.
hit here,
Yeah.
and then he
Fell.
just
Fell over.
fell over, and you start to see, uh probably he was not really, he was like, the illusion of the Palestinians or the Philistines at that time, just to show, oh, we have a giant with us, but I don't see that this giant was a powerful It's not, for example, like the Torah says about Nimrod. About Nimrod is very clear. He was very powerful
A
man,
mighty hunter, a mighty, yeah,
mighty hunter.
yeah, yeah,
So it reflects that if you have to put this man, this Goliath, against Nimrod, probably Nimrod will win.
interesting,
Okay,
yeah,
so uh, in then the problem is when you start to make lashon hara. The problem of their lashon hara was that they conclude something
yes,
about their feelings. So it's not good to talk when your feelings are not good.
right,
Okay.
yeah,
In the problem that this lashon hara contaminate everybody.
right,
And the problem then is that they were not only satisfied about this, they disobey God, because we mess up everything because God told us that we are afraid, so then we have to go to fight.
right,
And they were to against the Amalekites, and they were defeated.
yeah,
Why? Because God was not there with
yeah,
them.
yeah. Moses didn't go, and the Ark of the Covenant didn't go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they go for themselves because they wanted to show, no, we are strong now. And this is the problem of the person
right,
who moves because of the feelings.
right,
And so this portion is very powerful because there are a lot of things. Then I start to talk about the first fruits, in end with the person who were be killed because of he moves some
he
how do
picked
you
up
say,
some wood on Shabbat.
yeah, some woods on Shabbat. Yeah. And thing is interesting because in Exodus we read that God already said, do not make any work and not cut anything. And so they know, but the problem is that Moshe didn't know how to punish him. So that's why he was to consult. um in so it's very powerful. The problem is everything is about our choice. What
Our
do we
choices.
choose? What choices we make?
Yes.
So
And they wanted him to choose, they wanted to choose another leader and go back to Egypt.
yeah, and
Stone
then
them, to
also
stone them.
and also God let Moses choose about the existence of Israel in this portion, because he said, oh no, I will kill everybody.
Right,
And he said, no, 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 God, please don't do that, because the Egyptian will say that you were not able to enter the land, these people.
right.
So uh, everything is choose.
Yeah,
So we
one
have
Yeah.
to
one of the
choose
things I remember
correct.
Rabbi saying was that up to that time, Moses would always say, "These are your people." He would never appropriate them as his own. He didn't want to be the leader. He never wanted to be the leader. And here he's begging God for his people. So finally he appropriated his role as leadership. I know there's so much in this portion. I think now I love, Wednesday night, and I'm sure you do the same thing when you read it through on Tuesday, and when we read through the whole thing together and we're seeing things that, like when I read, I wanted last week. Miriam and I went to the park here, and they had the Orthodox Jews have become very powerful here in this area. There's a lot of moving in, and so they hold a lot of events. So many people come, and there's a tent where the rabbi stays, and they're from Chabad, the Lubavitcher rabbi. So I'm always asking questions, and I wanted to talk about, some of the questions I ask. He gives me answers that I really agree with, but I wanted to say, well, what are you going to do with Torah Achat and mishpat echad, one Torah and one mishpat, one ordinance or regulations, both for the native-born Israelite and the stranger among them. Because when I had spoken to one of the men there, and I said that Caleb was not a native-born Israelite, was not Jewish. He said immediately, "Oh yeah, I think he was married to Miriam or something like that."
Make him Jewish.
That made him Jewish, but it doesn't say that. We're constantly looking for ways of proving that we, the Jews, are up here, but the Gentiles don't need the same books. They're okay with the Noahide laws. They're okay with their God Jesus or whatever they want to do, but we hold the Torah in our hands, and that's not what the Torah says. And the only way that other religions can prove that they are superior or their writings are superior is to destroy the Torah, because the Torah is very clear. Now,
And what kind of God would create a whole universe and just pick a one people who would find the one true God? Like what kind of God is that?
well, if
We
you
have,
believe if you're the Jehovah Witnesses, you believe that.
no,
Hold on
but
a
a lot of
second.
groups believe that,
Yeah.
but to what end? Like we're to be a light to the nations. We're a vehicle. We're not the end of his
But
creation.
that's exactly it. We're the messengers. Yes, Brian.
This thing that you gave me to look at, like when you show on the Wednesday,
Yes.
have it in there that you're Jewish by your mother.
Yes, I know. That's what is taught. And, I can understand there's a reason that our people have believed, that the rabbis have taught that the heritage comes from the mother because of all the years in diaspora where the women were raped and they never knew who the father was. I can understand that. But the issue isn't about who is a Jew. Because when they do know who the father is and it's proven DNA, then why aren't the children Jewish? But even then, being Jewish isn't the issue.
Yeah.
The issue
And
is
being
having
Jewish, it
is
doesn't matter
having
if
the
you,
heart. Like look
yeah.
at Caleb. Caleb means wholehearted or coming from the heart. He was a dog. And who are dogs? Man's best friend. He like Ruth. These are true. These people have more faith than those who are the native born Israelites. Sometimes that's why I said sometimes when we're given something for free, we take it for granted. The Ger didn't take anything for granted.
Is that why I wanted to ask about Caleb not being, his name not being changed, the Yud not being?
That's my
No,
opinion.
but I always thought the way I kind of think about it is that he already, left his pagan gods to come and join with Israel. He used his free will to do that. And then he was one of the two who entered the land and had a good report and continued on. So, I hope you have any.
Thank you, Mauricio. Just before you go, you did have something that you said about that point about Caleb. Do you want to say
Yeah,
it
why
before you go?
his name wasn't changed.
Why his name, the Yud wasn't added to his name?
Honestly, I'm not sure about the right answer because there are many possibilities.
Exactly.
But one is that he was not really Israelite; he was Canaanite, in according
Well,
to
it says
many
Kenizzite.
passages.
Kenizzite.
Kenizzite,
Yeah.
yes, Kenizzite. So, in according to some sages, they said no, he was really a Jewish,
Of course, they would say that.
but
Yeah.
it's not what the Bible says.
No.
The second is obviously is about the leadership. Hosea was the name of salvation, and so probably he was changed the name because God wanted to show that God is the one who saves, not is Yehoshua. So
Right.
God to be.
Right.
And third, the leader was really Yehoshua and not Caleb. So it's like there are many other persons who were at the Bible and they were not changed their name. Example is Shlomo,
Yes.
Shmuel, no,
But Caleb
not
was
necessarily.
made the leader, the prince of the tribe of tribes,
Yeah,
Judah, which
yeah, but at that time they didn't know.
No, they
Yeah, that
didn't know.
time, no, they come the
Yeah.
tribe the 12 tribes after, right?
That's true.
So
That's true. Yeah, exactly. But I love how there can be so many ways of looking in the scriptures. Anyway, have a wonderful day, Mauricio. Thank you as
thank you.
usual for your participation. We always enjoy listening to you. Say hi to your family and have a wonderful rest of the Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. Shabbat Tov, Shabbat Shalom.
Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Because it is a beautiful portion. Because if not, we will say goodbye and have a wonderful rest of our day.
I wonder if Mildred can hear me now. I just want to. Mildred, can you hear us? Does she know what to do? Have to turn-
Mildred, if you want to say hello, you can. She might have fallen asleep.
Oh, maybe.
6, Mildred.
Just
Press 6,
you
Mildred.
press no star 6
Oh,
on your
star
phone.
6.
Star 6 on the phone, and then she could say hello. But it's possible because we really need to pray for Mildred.
Yeah.
She's lost a lot of weight, and she
And for
sleeps,
Brian
sleeps a
Schumann.
lot. And for Brian's health.
For your test, well, you need to get
Yeah.
some help with that test.
Exactly. So let's continue to pray for each other, to pray for this community, to pray that wherever we go, that we will be a light. Rhonda is going to be traveling quite a bit this summer. She's a woman of leisure now. She's in her retirement age, and she's going to go to, what is it, Hershey's Chocolate next month?
Yeah.
What city is it?
Where are
Oh,
they?
It's in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hershey,
Oh, it is
Pennsylvania.
Hershey. It's called
Good.
Hershey.
They make dark chocolates.
Yeah.
If you don't bring back dark chocolates, don't talk to me.
Well, talk to me. I'll eat any chocolate. but yeah, bring back. Well,
Yeah,
Hershey almonds are good.
take a cold pack with you to make sure they don't melt on the way home.
Well, we're going to shop all the candy on the last day, so it won't sit in the car.
Oh, so you're driving there?
Yeah, it's only 7 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should go, Miriam.
Yeah, I would
Go to
I think
Hershey,
it'd be fun.
Pennsylvania. All right.
And the
you never know.
Pennsylvania Dutch. Have you seen the like around Lancaster in Pennsylvania? It's beautiful
Wow,
with
that's
the
great.
old buggies.
I saw Lancaster. That's where the
Oh,
Amish
that's
live.
right. You see, no, not
Yeah.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The Lancaster Dutch. No, not
Oh, the other
Ontario.
one's Lancaster.
The Amish. That's where they also have the replica of the temple. We went
right,
there.
right, amazing. They also have one in Florida.
Yeah, Marv Rosenthal.
Marv Rosenthal, exactly.
By the way, Rhonda, your star looks like a lioness. I was looking up, like she has the same color as a female lion without, no mane.
Yeah.
She's a lioness now.
Yeah.
Is she
All
okay? Is she calmer now?
Depends on what you think. Depends.
All right. Well, let's have that as another conversation because I don't know how many people are interested in a shaved dog.
Well, that was just a little.
That's
note.
true. Alvarado's, we want to say goodbye to you. I don't know if you have anything to add. You always have some good ideas about the parasha. If not, okay. So I wish you all
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Itit.
But shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Brian.
Shalom, my Brian.